Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox, and I guess today we got kind of a, I don't know, like a bonus video for you today. I was just thinking about this topic. I figured, I'll just make kind of a general topic, extra video. Why not? Not doing anything. Stuck at home. It's late. I got insomnia. Talk about it. I want to talk about the theatrical experience and whether or not movie theaters are just kind of on their way out. Now, I've always thought for a while, at some point, it's going to happen. Like movie theaters just really aren't going to be the same thing as we kind of understand them today. And with all the COVID stuff going on, it seems like it's kind of like accelerated that process. Studios are, trying out things with VOD and trying to testing the waters. Can they kind of bypass theaters altogether? And a lot of the theater chains, some of them, some of the bigger ones, they're in like dire financial straits. They cannot afford to stay open because the theaters, the margins are so slim. But as a person that's a movie lover, and I actually really love the theatrical experience, I love the communal nature of what kind of sitting in a room, in a dark room, and watching a movie with other people, strangers. You get to have this kind of like little weird thing. You get a little connection. You go see a comedy, you go see an action movie, something thrilling, or a horror movie. You're all kind of in it together. And I do appreciate that and I like that. But as the years have gone on, and I think everybody that goes to the movies has experienced this, theatrical exhibition is awful these days. Even getting people to theaters to project a movie properly is kind of a problem sometimes. It's the art form of showing a movie is pretty much dead. Most theaters, they don't even use film anymore. It's all just digital. And they get these kids to go up there and plug in a hard drive and press a button and not have any attention to detail when it comes to being able to pull focus or to make sure the screen is right or the sound isn't shit. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's like a process to go. It costs you an arm and a leg. I mean, just if you want to take out your guma, you know? You want to take out your mistress. You want to take out your lady fair, your husband, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your whatever. It's expensive, You're gonna. It's like $60 to go to a movie, 50 on the low end. If you go get a drink and popcorn, that's an expensive trip. But things like that, I think it just kind of turns people off. And the only reason why people still go is kind of like it's something to do. We're always looking for something to do, and it is what's there. It's what's normal. But as we've gone on, we've seen kind of more like boutique theaters become more of a thing. Now it's about the experience. They're trying to actually make an experience. They want to have like a bar and a restaurant and be able to have like kind of your full spectrum date night all represented within a theater. And a lot of the chains have kind of taken that tact as well. It starts with like, smaller stuff. The Alamo Drafthouse kind of sticks out. Those are people that care about film and they care about the skill of putting a film on and making a presentation and making it kind of a full experience. And while like Regal and AMC, they've started to do that kind of stuff, but it's like the corporate version. And it's often not a great experience. It's not the same. So I always kind of figured that at some point, like it's just everything's going to become boutique. With streaming is doing this to physical media as well. Like at some point, I think that studios are going to stop putting movies out, and the only way you're going to be able to buy physical stuff is it's all going to be geared towards collectors. It's going to be like boutique labels like Vestron or Kino Lorber or Scream Factory, Shout Factory, that kind of stuff. Those are the little labels that are going to be preserving this stuff, like putting out limited runs of movies. And I think it's only a matter of time before that actually becomes a reality, especially from like major studios. Disney, for instance, is the one that's kind of holding the gun to the back of theaters' heads. Today, it was announced that Mulan was launched on Disney Plus for $30. So you're gonna have to have a Disney Plus subscription, which costs like $7 or $8, and then it's gonna be $30 on top of that. But you get to buy it, and as long as you have Disney Plus, it'll stay in your collection, which is another weird thing. You're not actually buying it; you're like buying the rights to watch it. But that shifted things, and what's been going on during COVID, a lot of studios, like I said, been putting out movies on VOD. Trolls World Tour was kind of a thing that caught the eye of studios because of how financially well it did. Now, can you separate that from what's going on in the world right now? I don't know. You know, you got a bunch of kids stuck at home. Nobody's in school. Everybody was stuck at home when that movie came out. So it made $100 million at $20 a rental, or 20 bucks to purchase it. I think if you pay $20, you just buy it. So it was kind of odd. It was an odd thing, but studios have paid attention to it. You know, Universal got in a big fight with AMC about this. AMC wanted to like ban Universal movies from their theaters. And AMC is like the second biggest theater chain in the country. So, but they worked out some sort of deal. But the deal is, though, for a lot of the stuff that Universal is going to put out, there's only going to be a 3-week theatrical window before it's put on VOD. So even that, they're already signaling like it's kind of over. The only movies that will probably not have that happen are your big tentpole movies, you know, the Fast and Furious, Jurassic World movies. Those, I mean, movies, honestly, that I have zero interest in in watching. But when I think about myself as a theater goer, for a lot of stuff, I would much rather just wait. I would wait 3 weeks for a lot of movies. It's very rarely that I feel like I need to see something on the big screen anymore these days. Because, like, you know, when I've gone to movies, I went to see the new Ang Lee movie, Gemini Man, with Will Smith, which is not a good movie. I didn't think it was going to be a great movie when I saw it, but I had a theater locally that was going to show it as it was meant to be seen. 60 frames per second, 3D. And I go there, I pay an exorbitant amount. It's like $19 to buy a ticket to a 3D movie. And it's all out of fucking focus. Then they couldn't fix it. They couldn't figure it out. And it ruined ruined the experience. The movie already was whatever. But then, you know, and I was going to go get my money back, but it was like a late showing and it was only a couple people there. And as somebody that's worked in the service industry, I'm just like, whatever. It's a wash. It's a wash. I'll just fucking let that $20 go. It's just not worth bothering these people. It's really not their fault, probably. Or maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't know how to do it. How to present it properly. But when things like that happen, it kind of just turns you off to going to theaters in general. And that's on top of the fact that, like, you go to a theater and people act like they're in their fucking living rooms. People talk, they answer their cell phones. Theaters were even talking about opening up screenings that were like cell phone friendly screenings. At one point, I don't think that ever actually happened, but they were floating it out there because they're trying to do anything to stay alive. And then this happened, and this pandemic happened, and it's just like, it's do or die at this point. And something like Disney Plus doing this with Mulan is going to be a test case for every major studio, at least every major studio that has a streaming platform. I guarantee you they're all going to be thinking about this. If they can get a lot of people to pay $30 to watch Mulan, if that movie can make a substantial amount of money, that'll be it. That'll be it. Why wouldn't they? If they can just direct to consumer and make the same amount of money, why wouldn't they? I mean, granted, I don't know if they're going to be able to make the same kind of money. I don't know. You know? I don't know how important theaters are to that process anymore. It's because it's just like, as like somebody, like I said to myself, I'm just like, I've kind of been turned off to going to the movies a lot, and I only go out if it's really special. Like, I probably would have went to go see Tenet. I'd like to see a Christopher Nolan movie on the big screen because I know he kind of goes for broke. I probably would have even gone to see an IMAX. I saw Mission Impossible Fallout. I went and spent the extra money, went to see that in IMAX with my brother Ryan. We had a great time because it's kind of, they're event movies and they kind of lend themselves to that. But other than that, I don't know. Then I was kind of thinking like, well, if theaters close, or are they just not sustainable in any kind of major way, could this save cinema? Could it save the artistic kind of notion of what a movie is? You know, because nowadays everything's just made to be a big tentpole movie. Everything has to make $1 billion just to cover its costs. The amount of money that they pour into like these superhero movies and whatnot. And I was thinking, I was like, well, if that pipeline doesn't exist anymore, you're probably going to see a lot more modestly budgeted, risky movies. Things that, like, the 90s and the early 2000s were kind of full of. A lot of indie stuff. Because they're going to want it. They need to produce content, but they can't spend $300 million making a movie. It can even make superhero movies better. And I'm kind of turned off superhero movies. I don't really watch them very often anymore. I mean, I got curiosities and I'll watch some things, but it's not something I like look forward to or plan my life around. I don't get excited when they come out, Although I am looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I am looking forward to that. That should be interesting. I don't know if it'll be good. It'll be interesting though. So yeah, like there's so many different kind of vectors that are going into this stuff. It could be a good thing at the end of the day. I don't know. I don't know how married people are to the theatrical experience. I feel like, movie fans, movie nerds, they love going to the movies. A lot of these lonely fucks out there waiting to watch a movie so they can go write their Letterboxd review, go fill out something on their blog while they pet their cat and try to not to cry themselves to sleep. I'm being harsh. I'm joking. I'm one of those people. I love, I like watching movies and writing about them and stuff, talking about them, obviously. But just as the older I get, and maybe this is just an age thing, like going to a theater is way less of a priority. And I'll happily just like wait 2 months to watch something rather than kind of go through the bullshit of having to go to the theater. And I wonder how, if this is successful, how many other people feel the same way. We live in an age nowadays where most of our home video stuff, like our TVs and our sound systems and stuff, it's a better experience than going to a theater. There's just too many variables, and the theater chains, because they're so corporate, they don't care, and they clearly don't care about presentation. You have to go to those kind of smaller Alamo Drafthouse type places to get a good experience, something that feels memorable. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong about all of this. I was just thinking about it. When Disney announced that with Mulan, I was like, wow, that's a big deal. Because if Mulan is successful, that means I bet some of their other stuff, like Black Widow, will probably come out. That'll come out the same way, Or maybe they'll have a lot of day and date stuff where it comes on streaming and it's in the theater to try to, double up. Because there's a lot of people that just can't get to the theater. So, you'll have the people that will want to make the trip, and then you'll have people that will want to stay home and spend $30 or $40 on a movie. They tried this a long time ago. Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy movie called, it's like Money Heist. I don't think I ever actually watched it. It's just some bad kind of heist comedy. But they did this. They experimented with this where it was like, I think $25 or $30, and you could rent it at home, and it was in the theater at the same time. Or they toyed with the idea and maybe got kind of backed off by not the studios, but by the theater owners, the exhibitors. I think they might have tried. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. Wouldn't have paid $20, $30 to watch Money Heist. I can tell you that much. But yeah, it's a whole new era for this stuff. And I'm curious where it's going to go. Like I said, it could be good. It could be a good thing just for the art form. Studios have to make more modestly budgeted movies. They'll be able to give kind of interesting filmmakers more breath, more room to kind of do their own thing. It's not all going to have to be made by committee. It's not going to have to pander to the widest demographic possible. So that could be interesting. I don't know. I'm saying that a lot. I don't know. But yeah, just the thought I was kicking around in my head. I don't know if I'd miss them. I probably would in some way, right? And I do think at the end of the day, whether it happens now or it happens 10 years from now, there is an inevitability to it. And it will all be just like kind of tailored towards kind of niche crowds and audiences, physical media, theaters, which sucks for me because, man, I grew up in the golden era of DVDs, and every DVD that came out, they do a lot of reissues of like, older movies. I got to see so many like kind of 10, 15-year-old movies that would be put out on DVD for the first time, but they would go all out. It would be a collector's edition, a double disc. Get all sorts of background and production info, little documentaries and commentaries and all that stuff, and they barely do that anymore. It's like why the boutique labels are so attractive to somebody like me, because I'm going to get something. I'm going to get something more than the movie. I'm going to be able to invest more into it. But it comes at a cost. Those things are not really cheap. Granted, I'm a big sale guy. I'll just wait for something to come on sale, but every once in a while, I end up pulling the trigger on something and you're like, wow, this is so expensive. Maybe in the big scheme of things it's not. I don't know. That's just the work of being a collector, I suppose. And maybe it's always been like that, right? Because there was a time where VHSs cost $100, where laser discs were $120. So people have always kind of had to deal with this stuff, I suppose, collectors in some respect. But when you're on a budget, it's a real bummer sometimes. Yeah. But I don't know. If anybody has any thoughts, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear what people think. Like, would you care if theaters closed and we went exclusively to kind of VOD, video on demand, pay-per-view stuff? Is that more attractive to people now? I don't know. Especially now in this era of the pandemic, I think it's going to change people's desire to go out to these places, especially people that would go out to a theater. This is not like the average person wanting to go back to a restaurant or go, or whatever. Theaters are already kind of a niche experience by and large. I mean, other than tentpole stuff where everybody feels like they want to be a part of a cultural moment, gives them something to do or whatever, but it's already kind of headed that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Like I said, let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you guys later. There's a bunch of links in the description if you want to keep up to date with Zoobox. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got my personal Twitter. Also, if you'd like to make a recommendation for one of the daily videos or something for Zoobox Goes to the Movies, or maybe even some kind of just weird off-topic thing, I can make a video. I can talk about anything pretty much. I'm just one of those kind of guys. All right, everybody. You have a good one.